What would you do if renovating your apartment revealed something that explained years of strange occurrences? Moved into a studio apartment in Brooklyn 3 years ago. Cheap rent for the neighborhood, which should have been my first warning sign. The place was old, probably built in the 1940s, with thick plaster walls and original hardwood floors. From day one, weird things happened. My Wi-Fi would cut out at the same time every night around 9 p.m. My phone would sometimes just die, even when it showed 50% battery. Light bulbs burned out constantly, like every few weeks. I'd mention it to my landlord, and he'd shrug. Say old buildings have quirks. My girlfriend refused to stay over, said the place had bad energy. I thought she was being dramatic. Last spring, a pipe burst in the wall between my apartment and the hallway. Water damage was severe enough that the landlord had to gut the wall and rebuild it. I came home from work to find construction guys tearing out plaster, and one of them called me over with this weird look on his face. Behind the plaster, running vertically through the wall, was a thick bundle of electrical wiring, way more than should have been there for a studio apartment. The wires were old, cloth insulation that was frayed and exposed in places, but that wasn't the weird part. Attached to the wiring, hidden in the wall cavity, was a metal box about the size of a shoebox. The construction guy said he'd never seen anything like it. We carefully pulled the box out. It was heavy, made of steel, with no obvious way to open it. There were cables running from the box into the bundle of wires connecting to the building's electrical system. I called my landlord, and he came over immediately. He claimed he had no idea what it was, said the previous owner had died years ago, and maybe it was some old electrical equipment, but his hands were shaking when he looked at it. The construction crew refused to continue work until we figured out what we were dealing with. We called an electrician. He took one look at the box and the wiring setup and told us to call the police. He said the way it was wired, it was definitely pulling power from my apartment's electrical system, and based on the heat signature, whatever was in the box had been running constantly. 2 detectives showed up within an hour. They carefully disconnected the box and got it open with bolt cutters. Inside was old surveillance equipment, the kind used for audio recording. There were 4 separate recording devices, each connected to a different wire that ran through the building. The detectives started tracing the wires. One went to my apartment's phone line, another went up through the ceiling toward the apartment above mine. The other 2 ran horizontally toward neighboring units. This thing had been recording conversations from multiple apartments for who knows how long. The detectives called in a tech team. They traced all the wires and found that the recording equipment had been broadcasting to a receiver somewhere in the building. After 6 hours of searching, they found it in a storage unit in the basement, a unit that had been rented under a fake name for over a decade. Inside the storage unit were boxes full of old recording tapes, hundreds of them, labeled with apartment numbers and dates going back to 2008. My apartment number was on dozens of tapes. The detectives said they'd need to investigate further, but this was clearly an illegal surveillance operation that had been running for years. The landlord claimed ignorance, but we later learned he'd bought the building from the guy who'd installed it all, and the FBI is now involved in a much bigger case.